I mean, Sean McVay, Les Snead, like, relax a little bit. They're like the annoying, not the annoying, they're not annoying, but the friend on your fantasy league that keeps sending trades, and you're like, I can't keep up with you. I cannot keep up with what Les Snead is doing after such a great season.
But a lot of these trades in fantasy football, you get offered these trades, and teams say, no. Very rarely do they actually pull them off in fantasy football, and usually you don't respond. These are happening, and I'm telling you that in the Marcus Peters situation, the 49ers were very involved in that. The Cleveland Browns were very involved in that. The Rams got their guy. In this Aqib Talib thing overnight, the Patriots were very involved. The 49ers, again, very involved. The Rams got their guy. There's something about L.A. right now where players are excited to be there, and Talib wanted to play for Wade Phillips. Marcus Peters wanted to play for Sean McVay. Now, you've got two huge personalities, but two of the best at their craft, and you add them to a defensive backfield. They also added Sam Shields yesterday as a great slot corner. And then you add there John Johnson, who was a rookie last year at a Boston College that no one really talks about, but really came on late and is going to be a stud in this league. And LaMarcus Joyner, who they gave the franchise tag. Suddenly, it is scary out there in L.A., and Kate, they might not be done. They might not be done.
What does that mean, Schrager?
They're still reloading. They're still reloading, and you know, Aaron Donald's sitting there at the defensive tackle.
I was going to say, nobody talks about him.
He's the best player in football at that position, and maybe the best defensive player in the entire game. It's great defense, and they have a very good offense, number one in the league last year. On paper, this is a team that's rebuilding and getting better on a team that already won the division last season.
Let's talk NFC. Is their best cornerback duo in the NFC on paper?
On paper, you still got to give credit to Xavier Rhodes and that Vikings defense. You look at
Trey Waynes and Rhodes.
Of course, you know, but you got to see what happens on the field. I mean, on paper they look good, but I think it's more about the conversation of what's happening in NFC West. You know, this is like the circle of life, and this is proof that reincarnation does exist. You look at everything that happened in Seattle. You look at the personalities, right? Look at Pete Carroll coming in, reinvigorating that city. Everybody loving it, a different type of energy, bringing in all these different guys. Russell Wilson. Quiet, but led by example. Jared Goff, quiet, leads by example. Marshawn Lynch, all about that action, boss. Don't need to celebrate. I just scored touchdowns and beat up defenders. Todd Gurley, all about that action, boss. I don't need to celebrate. I just scored touchdowns and beat up defenders. Now you go to the defense side of the ball, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, Bronner, all these different guys. Like you said, characters welcome. Now you look at that defense for the Rams, characters welcome. So it's funny how one thing ends and another thing begins. I'm just excited about this new era because just when we thought that the NFC West was getting a little bit boring, the Rams had an amazing season last year, and all these other teams, including the 49ers, I'm not going to slight you guys, are starting to make that rise again.
A lot's being made about the personality of Aqib Talib and how it's going to, you know, interact with Marcus Peters or even just standalone Aqib Talib, always a player who's very vibrant in what he says. He's been suspended for games, all of that. But clearly, if Wade Phillips, who worked with him before, wants his services, Wade Phillips, as you're saying, is a huge part of why that trade happened. Or you said the Pats were involved in this. He played for the Patriots, so nobody's shying away from a dominant player that can make plays and has 34 interceptions since 2008 just because of a couple of, pop-ups here and there.
Yeah, the pop-ups happen with
chain snatches.
Yeah, and I think we're naive to think that this thing is just going to go completely smooth for the whole season. We truly are. I mean, if it was just one of them, these guys, you can call them volatile. I will just call them unpredictable. You sometimes do not know what you're going to get, and I think that gives them their edge as players. I think there'll probably be a few pop-ups, okay? I truly do. But I think in terms of this team as a whole, right now we're learning this. We learned it again yesterday. There's nothing more dangerous than a team with a franchise quarterback on a rookie contract. Again, Jared Goff is super, super cheap right now for what he is, and that means in a window. You got a couple years, and then you have to pay the piper. You cannot afford to bring in Aqib Talib. The Eagles cannot afford to bring in Michael Bennett, but Carson Wentz has not broke the bank yet. You got to win now because, Peter, you've talked about this. It's why there's such an advantage in drafting quarterbacks because they're cheap. They don't stay cheap forever. Goff right now is super cheap. That means you can bring on other playmakers. I love that they did this.
I want to feel bad for Aaron Rodgers. You brought him up earlier and say, oh, well, he doesn't have the defense. He's probably looking like this. So I wish I had those corners. Well, they're going to have to pay you a ton of money, and Green Bay cannot pull in those guys given the certain.
That's what it is, right? You mentioned Goff and Wentz. They're going to make $8 million this year. You know, that's what they're making, $8 million. Kirk Cousins about to get paid $30. When Aaron Rodgers is a free agent, he's going to make $33. Like, that's what it is. So it's a huge disparity. There's a little bit of wiggle change now where we can pay a guy like Aqib Talib. Now, his entire contract goes over to the Rams. That is a lot of money. I mean, that's a lot of money for a 32-year-old corner. Like you said, Kyle, it looks like they're this young, fun, vibrant team. They're in win-now mode.
They want to win a Super Bowl next year.
They want to win now. And with Russell Wilson winning Super Bowl in his second season with Seattle, and them not getting back since to win that and hoist that Lombardi, a lot of those guys had to leave because you just can't pay everyone. Rams can pay everyone right now. This is the year.